Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Patriot Nation TV. I'm your host, Tim Davis, your New Age Patriot with a 1776 attitude. Just one man, one opinion, trying to connect the dots and make sense of it all. Today is Wednesday, June 2nd, 2021. And there's a lot to talk about. Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci and his junk science, his emails. In this little episode, I have a live guest appearing on my panel tonight. And we're going to talk about how President Trump was right. Trump was right again, along with all the conspiracy theorists. Fauci's emails that were released today reveal what we all knew. He's a fraud, a political hack. Fauci's emails sparked floods of backlash. What he needs to do is he needs to stop playing games and apologize to American people. Fauci was warned that COVID-19 may have been engineered in the labs in China, and he silenced it. So this brings me to the, like I always said in my past videos, COVID, COVID, control, oppress, victimize, isolate, and divide. That's what COVID means to me. That's what COVID means to any critical thinker and everybody out there. So, like I said, I'm doing a live broadcast. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for tuning in. And I do have a guest on. I'm going to bring her on. And we're going to discuss everything that's going on today in the political world of Dr. Fauci, the junk science, and all the other stuff. But remember what I always say. When these politicians and bureaucrats, when they can't dazzle you with brilliance, they baffle you with bullshit. And that's what we're seeing today. So everything that I'm going to say, everything that my guest is going to say, we knew this 400 days ago. And we made everybody aware of it. And we were mocked, ridiculed, and so on and so on. So everybody, welcome. I'm going to introduce my guest, and here she is. Welcome to my show. Introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks so much for having me on. I'm Faith Washington. Maybe you're familiar with the Faith Washington show that I used to conduct, interviewing high-level entrepreneurs. I am actually a pharmacist and a biochemist by trade. I coach high performers now, and I do a few other things here and there. And I'm just really happy to be on, Tim. And yes, a lot of the things that we're seeing these days are not really logical. I knew this stuff back in March of 2020, that this COVID-19 certificate of vaccination ID 2019 was planned. It was a plandemic, a scamdemic to destroy America and completely and totally remove our freedoms. That's really what the New World Order, or the One World Order, is all about. These are from thousands of years ago, and since the beginning of our nation, these people have controlled us and tried to remove our freedoms. This isn't anything new that we're dealing with. However, for most people that are far left, it's a shock, and they're listening to mainstream media, which is a real serious issue, because that is literally MK Ultra programming. Whether you like it or not, whether you choose to believe it or not, I frankly don't care. The truth is the truth, whether you like it or not. And right now, with the flushing out of the Fauci emails, which comes with what's known as the FOIA, all right, which is the Freedom of Information Act. And whether anybody knows it or not, that's from 1967 forward. It's the Freedom of Information Act. It's provided the public the right to request access to records from any federal agency. So, that being said, we can request anything that we want. There are certain things that are exemptions that fall under, okay, well, we can't divulge this because it might cause some sort of national security risk. But otherwise, yeah, his emails fall under this nonsense. And unfortunately, Anthony Fauci is someone who should have been taken out of our government many, many, many years ago, because he is a liar, he is a fraud, he has done things to our country that are absolutely criminal. Let's start with 2015.
Absolutely.
Let's start with 2015, when he took $3.7 million to the Wuhan lab in China so that they can investigate SARS-2 core viruses. Really? Really? You're going to go and investigate those. Oh, wait. And did you know this? Bet you didn't know this, listeners. He did it illegally. The National Institute of Health, okay, was involved in this. He was not supposed to take that money. It was illegal theft of money from the taxpayers in the United States of America Republic. And you know what? I don't know
Absolutely.
about you. I don't know about you, but that should make you really, really angry. This should make you even more angry, because he's just destroyed your lives for how many months now? A year and how many months? Let's go, people. Wake up, wake up.
Just to piggyback off what you're saying, you're 100% right. I mean, actually, Dr. Fauci, I mean, we can take this back to the 80s. I was a teenager. I was in high school, junior high in the 80s.
Agreed.
We can take this back to Fauci when he was peddling drugs for the AIDS epidemic. That's how far back this goes. Mm-hmm. HIV, yes. Fauci was a drug peddling fraud during the AIDS epidemic. And now look at what has been discovered about his lies and the work to cover up the Wuhan or Chinese virus labs in Wuhan, China. He's been a fraud for a very, 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 very long time. And also, I think it was back in, let me see, it may have been back in like 2008. Dr. Fauci co-authored a paper about the Spanish flu epidemic that happened in 1918. And he talked about it, but I'm gonna quote a quick quote on him. What him and his scientists, the so-called scientists, I call them junk scientists, what they discovered, that most of the victims of the Spanish flu didn't die from the Spanish flu. They died from bacterial pneumonia, whatever.
And why?
And the
was
bacterial
that?
pneumonia, that was the Spanish flu of 1918. And the bacterial pneumonia was created by, just wait a second, was created by wearing masks.
Exactly.
Wearing masks. And he's a fraud. Dr. Fauci is 100% a fraud. He's a fool. And you know, right now, and I do appreciate you coming on my show to discuss this. So right now, all over the media, everyone is talking about Dr. Fauci's emails and what we've learned and what we haven't learned. And they're going to spin it to whichever way they want to spin it. But all I know is all these leaked emails prove exactly what we knew all along, what I knew along, what you knew along, Faith.
Yes.
It proves what we all knew along. This wasn't about safety. It wasn't about safety or security. It was about control, controlling us for a more insidious future for mankind. So with that, what do you think about that? What do you think about what I just said?
Well, the control of the sheeple, as I'll call it, the regular people, is absolutely something that has been the agenda from day one. It's why the British didn't want to let us go. It's why they've controlled us all along. It's why the bar exists, the British Accreditation Registry, which most people don't know about. That's for your attorneys out there. And it's always been about control. If you will harness the power of the people and get them to work for you and get them to pay taxes and pay 30% taxes, are you kidding? you've got it made in the shade. They're paying for all your goods. They're paying for everything. You can just sit back and cruise. The problem is that when those folks wake up, you've got a serious problem on your hands. And we're awake. And we're going to be that serious problem. We're it.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
the Faucis and the Soroses and the Billy Gateses and the Hilleries and the Billy Bob Clintons and all the Barry Soetoros, all these peeps, your day is coming. Your day is coming. Your days are numbered, and we've got those numbers.
And you know what? And I agree with that.
That's how it's going to work, boys and girls. Military tribunals, high treason, sedition, crimes against humanity. Those three, execution. That's how it works. Whether you like it or not, it doesn't really make any difference.
It's almost, and I did past videos in the past. It's almost like Nuremberg Trials 2.0. You know,
those are for the those are for the healthcare professionals. Those are for the people who are doing the vaccines. Those are your doctors, your nurses, your pharmacists, any sort of a healthcare professional across the globe who gets caught in that web. Those Nuremberg codes will be followed. It is an experimental, that vaccine or whatever you want to call it, the experimental device is not, it's experimental. It is not okay to inject people with poison. It is not okay, and they will be held accountable.
Exactly.
This is not a joke. This is not a game.
And being that you're saying that, that brings me to where with the Nuremberg codes and everything, this is going to prove to the world. Whether I did a video last night on Operation Paperclip and stuff like that. I have a 3-part series going on with that, Operation Mockingbird and so on and so on. But I'm not going to indulge into that right now. But this brings me to what I want to discuss about this Nuremberg Code. Because if Dr. Fauci and these junk scientists aren't held accountable for the crimes against humanity, for the genocide they allowed, the whole Nuremberg trials of the 1947 was a hoax. It was a farce. Because I don't believe in international law because it doesn't apply to me as an American citizen. But for the globe, I guess it applies to them. But this will prove to me, as one man, one opinion, this will prove that, excuse me, this will prove that the Nuremberg trials will prove that, excuse me, international law is either relevant or irrelevant. And it doesn't apply to anybody at all. It's just a farce to make all the third world nations, second world nations fear what the world can do to them. And like I said, Dr. Fauci was warned. One of his emails revealed that he was warned that COVID-19 may have been engineered in a lab. So usually, like the SARS and other viruses that came about with animals, and it was transmitted to human beings. But with COVID-19, if it's proven, like Paul, Rand Paul has said, Mike Lee, and many other congressmen, President Donald Trump has also mentioned this. If it's proven that it came out of a lab, that means it was man-made designed. If it's man-made designed, they should be held accountable because they allowed it to be spread. It's not coming from animals. It's not coming from just a fluke of nature. You designed it and you allowed it to spread amongst the globe. And they really should be held accountable to, like you said, high treason,
sedition, crimes against
sedition. Absolutely. And you are 100% correct on that. And a lot of people need to wake up to this fact. You know, I hate to say the word conspiracy theorist because to me, that's just a derogatory.
Please don't.
I won't do it no more. I won't do it no more. After
Because
this, I won't
that
do it no more. I promise you.
we
I promise you.
seriously, that
I
goes
won't do it
backwards.
anymore.
Don't do that. It's not
I
real.
won't do it anymore after I just say this. To me, one man, one opinion, a conspiracy theorist is a derogatory name that they give us critical thinkers who research everything. We're skeptics. We question everything. And that's just a derogatory name that they give people like me, like you, Faith, and like all the other millions of patriots out there that question everything. So I won't bring it up again. I promise you, I won't bring it up again in this show. But I just had to make that point across, that because they label us conspiracy theorists, and it's a joke. So with that being said, I'll let you take the lead and continue what I was saying.
Something, the conspiracy theory thing, it stuff like that it doesn't land on me. I don't really care. I know that I'm a critical thinker. I know I'm highly intelligent. I know that I'm able to break things down. And I know I study until I know exactly what's going on. I don't care about people's opinions. People's opinions of me are irrelevant on every level. I know that what I know is what I know because I have studied. I'd probably suggest looking back at Anthony Fauci's real background and find out if he really is an MD, because honestly, what I've read, I don't think this guy knew beans from bananas, considering the things that he has said to our country, especially with masking, when a virus that is, 0.125 microns and a mask, it's like, there's no way that the mask is going to protect you from any viral particles. That was just plain stupid. There was no relevance there. Anybody who backed that literally was not thinking. And, for that being said, the situation that we find ourselves in right now across the globe, and it isn't just the United States, it's every country on the planet that followed any of this nonsense, masking or lockdowns or all this BS. We're in it because we allowed it. Because we
allowed it. Yes.
We didn't stand up for our God-given rights. The Constitution of the United States of America Republic and the Bill of Rights are the actual documents that account for our freedoms. Those freedoms are our inalienable rights given to us from God the Creator. No one comes between you and your God. Not the government, not the cabal, not the Khazarians, not anyone on the planet. Your rights are God-given. That's how it works. But if you don't know that, and you're looking at a whole globe right now, a whole earth filled with people that don't know their rights, how can you stand up for something you do not know exists? The only way that you can do that is for people who do know and who kind of point it out to you and go, hey, you might want to read this document because it'll save your life. Okay? It'll save your life.
That brings me to what I always say. If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. It's funny when I look at I'm going to say Dr.
Fauci. Yeah.
Fauci. He's a fraud. He's a junk scientist. The thing is this, like, if you remember, I'm 50 years old, so I'm going to show my age here. There was a movie with Tom Hanks back in the 80s called Big. Remember the movie Big, where there was the machine and who told the fortune teller. So I envision like Dr. Fauci behind this machine with the fortune teller. He tells a different story every time somebody puts money into it. Follow money. Oh, remember, everybody, follow the money.
Always.
And always follow the money. And it brings me to where, the media, social media, the media, people you talk to at your coworkers, they portrayed this fraud, Dr. Fauci, whatever you want to call him. They portrayed him as like a hero. which is a joke to me because he's not a hero. But even more importantly than being a hero, he was a fraud. He was a fraud, 100% fraud. A massive fraud at that, I must say. And with these newly released trove of emails, it makes Dr. Fauci and his fraud abundantly clear. There's no more covering his fraud. CNN, NBC, CBS, they can't cover it no more. You can't hide. Facebook. I'm on a new account on Facebook. My Facebook account was disbarred October, right before the election. I had to start a whole new Facebook account. I've been in Facebook jail over 88 times in my original Facebook account from 2008. Since October of 2020, I've been in Facebook jail about 8 times. I just got released. I am now being shadow banned on YouTube itself. I'm on YouTube right now and Facebook. I'm being shadow banned for telling the truth, not making things up, not giving my opinion, just going off the truth and what the media is telling me. And as we move further into what's going on, I'm being exonerated, just like Rand Paul is, just like every other politician that stands up for freedom and liberty. We're being exonerated. And even the emails even show that Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook colluded with Dr. Fauci to suppress the truth, to suppress the information about COVID-19. And it's really, really, really scary how they're doing it. It's reminiscent before the before the final solution of Nazi Germany. Like America today is teetering 1928 to 1939 Nazi Germany before pre-final solution. And we're right there following the same path. And like I said, I did a video, Operation Paperclip and stuff like that. Just look into it, everybody. Just one man, one opinion. Look into it yourself. I can't tell you how to think, only what to think. Look for yourself. Make America think again. Simplifying the complex. So with that being said, it brings me to the gain of function. The gain of function is what Fauci and the WHO all came about. And he knew about it. He lied about it. The NIH, which was taxpayer funded, knew about it. They accepted it. And they defrauded the American taxpayer. Fauci denied it. His emails show that they were labeling Fox News as conspiracy theorists. Any YouTube channel, such as myself, a small man, anybody, Alex Jones, anybody, that we were conspiracy theorists. And it just goes to show you how easy it is to manipulate people who don't want to think for themselves. And so I guess I'll leave that to you to add on or piggyback off what I'm saying so I don't lose, Go ahead.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
I think, Tim, that much of what you're saying is incredibly true. I find that when people watch TV and look to quote unquote the news channels, which are scripted information, it's the same for every channel, for every station, for every media outlet. It's the same narrative. When you are fed a very narrow stream of information, it locks into your brain, and they also use what's known as MK Ultra programming. You can look that up, folks. It's very real. You're being fed. If you're watching any TV, it's day in and day out, and it's turned on full blast. What happens is the neuronal networks in your brain get synced to hearing this certain pattern of information. And it means that you are no longer able to critically think for yourself. People might think that they are, but they're really not. I stopped watching TV 6-7 years ago. It doesn't occur to me to watch TV at all. In fact, I know why I don't watch TV is because I don't want to be programmed. And the situation that we are in with the people of the United States is they want to be comfortable. They don't want to go outside of their comfort zone. They go to work, they work hard, they're exhausted, they come home, they want to passively receive information into their brain and create this little bubble. It's like they want to be comfortable. And unfortunately, that comfort zone that we have all enjoyed for many, many years really is why we're in this situation. Because without the ability to be uncomfortable and have your thoughts tweaked, you're just simply following along the same path as everyone else, and you're easily manipulatable. You are a target for someone to drop thoughts into your head. This is a problem. This is why you don't know the Constitution. This is why your kids don't know. This is why the kids have been programmed with indoctrination for the last 50 years. Indoctrination, peeps. That's why your kids don't know how to do math. No joke. They can't do simple math. Please. They don't even know English. When was the last time you read an email from somebody under the age of 40 that was actually grammatically correct? Name one. I don't know any. Yeah, it's really sad. And you need to think about this stuff. It's real. It's a problem. That's why we're in this mess. You've got to think for yourself.
Yes. You know what? I concur with that. And just to piggyback off what you said about you haven't watched TV in about 7 years, I'm going to say the same thing. I haven't really watched TV in about 3 years. I'm not going to lie. I'm not 7 years or 10 years or a decade into it. It's about 3 years. And you mentioned MK Ultra. It's funny that you mentioned that because like not to bring up past videos, but I did a video last night, Operation. I'm going to do a 3-part series, Operation Paperclip. I did one last night. I'm going to do another one next week. Please, if you want to come on, Faith, be more than welcome. I'm going to talk about Operation Mockingbird, which is MK Ultra, media manipulation, and so on and so on. What I was going to do was I was going to do a little 3-part series, like a 15 to 20 minute video explaining everything. And then the final video of the 3-part series was going to be a live broadcast. But if you want to come on next week and talk about MK Ultra and Operation Mockingbird, please let me know. Inbox me, let me know. We can arrange this. But if not, it's okay. I'm just going to continue my series. And I'm going to connect the dots. And you're 100% correct when you say people need to wake up. They're asleep at the wheel. They're falling for I hate to be redundant, but if you can't dazzle people with brilliance, you baffle them with bullshit. And that's what we're seeing on TV. That's what we're seeing on social media. That's what we're seeing on regular media. That's what our children are seeing in their classrooms. That's what we're seeing at work.
Agreed. Everywhere
and so on and so on.
Everywhere
it's
you turn,
ridiculous. Everywhere you turn, it's ridiculous. Like what happened? What happened to America? Excuse my language. Where's our balls? Like where did it go? You tell me, where did it go?
Let me just stop you for a second. I want you to think about this. You stopped watching TV about 3 years ago, right?
Correct.
Well, I'll tell you what, for about the last 10 years, what have those TV shows done with men? What have they done? They've emasculated men. They have made men look like fools. It disgusts me. You know what?
Absolutely.
If you're an alpha male, that kind of stuff isn't going to affect you. But if you're not an alpha male, you are going to be affected. You are going to wonder, what's wrong with you? But I'll tell you what, it has a really huge impact on our society. It has a huge impact on how women view men. There's a lot of impact here. I don't care for it. Thank you very much. Men should
And
be
you know what?
men. Women are women. And that's how it is. I don't care if anybody doesn't like it. I don't really give a shit.
You are correct. Let me see. How can I answer that question? Like I said, I'm not going to talk about my past videos, but I did a past video about how Generation X is our last hope. That's my generation. You're born 1964 to 1979. You fall into the category of Generation X. Now, Generation X, we're the generation where our fathers were Vietnam vets, our grandfathers were World War II, or even Korea. We were men's men. We learned how to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, know what standing for a flag was, knowing how to salute and thank the police officers. Even though we can disagree, me personally, I do disagree with a lot of actions that they've been doing under post 9/11 with the tyrannical laws that's arbitrated through our legislation, but that's for another episode. We learned respect women, respect our elders. And it comes down to where my generation, your generation, we're the last generation, because these millennials and Generation Zs, they were taught and learned not to love America, not to know what America stands for, not to know what my father, who's a Vietnam vet, not to know what my grandfathers who were World War II vets, not to know what they stood for, what they fought for.
Right.
And it's like you said, it's toxic. What do they call it? Toxic masculinity. You know, they're making men weak. They're making men weak, and we can't allow that. I guess it's up to me and you and our friends and our friends who are parents. We can't allow it. We can't allow this indoctrination centers, aka public schools and public teachers unions, and protective service custodies, whatever you want to call them, whatever slogan they go under. We can't allow them to steal our children. We can't allow them to steal our logic, our knowledge, to fit their particular narrative, which is total buffoonery.
And Tim, and I want to add to that. The things that you're saying are spot on, and you know, it's not that I want to ever exclude anyone, but the bottom line is that if you don't stand up for these things, look at where we're at. And we're allowing a tiny portion of society to dictate this BS. A tiny portion, okay? Because the majority of us are out here. There are lots of us who believe the things that you and I are talking about. But mainstream media, okay?
Silence us. They silence us.
They want to silence us because there are only a small percentage of them, but they want you to think that they're in the majority, which is a lie. That's BS. It's BS. And I call it just exactly what it is. It's wrong. And it's not the truth, but they want you to think that they're in the majority. Stand up and be counted.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a quick question and get off topic a little bit. Not that I want to get off topic. What do you think about these universities? How they just silence the conservative or the libertarian voice? They don't want the libertarian or the when I was in college in '89 to '93. You know, I met Dr. Ron Paul in '89. Before, you know, while he was just a freshman senator, I met a lot of people, and we actually had a voice. I'm a Reaganite. I'm not gonna, you know, for my audience out there watching, I'm a Reaganite. That's when I really first got into politics. Mm-hmm. Ronald Reagan was my president throughout my junior high and high school years. And it really got me into tune with what's going on in the world. But what do you think about these our higher learning educational institutions where they just silence everybody. If you ever an opposing voice, a different opinion, they just shut you out. I mean, and yet they allow this to happen. Us taxpayers, we subsidize these universities and colleges, but yet we have no say. They silence us out. What do you think about that?
Well, I think the first thing you should do is stop promoting and paying for their bullshit. In other words, if they silence conservatives, why would you ever send your kid there? Why is it that parents think that just because your kid goes to Yale or Harvard or Oxford or somewhere else, that they're better than someone else? Oh, I forgot. That's where all the really scary stuff happens. What are those private societies again? Let me remember. Skull and Bones, Freemasons. Oh my goodness, that's right. Those lovely people who are running society. And they're the ones who run those universities. So I'll tell you what, you want to make a change there? Get your kid out of these schools. Stop the indoctrination. Stop buying into their crap. That's how you stop it. You stop putting your money, where this crap happens. It's
and this is
simple.
True. And
Absolutely.
This is true. Like now they're talking about student debt relief and stuff like that. If you really think about it, 1982, 1983, to go to Harvard, it only cost like 10 grand. There was no government loans or anything like that. It became big business. Once government gets involved in anything, whether it's healthcare, whether it's education, once they get involved, that's when everything goes up. And everything goes to shit in my eyes. That's just me, one man, one opinion. And our educational system is really, like I said early in the show, we're following a path that Joseph Goebbels created back in like 1932 under Nazi Germany. It's indoctrination, and people just they're accepting it. So basically, I guess every 3 or 4 generations, that's why what's that old saying? Those who don't know history are condemned to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
And here we are, all these generations later. I think you and I know I am. I'm like what 3, 4 generations removed from World War II, Great Depression. And we're repeating the same thing that has been repeated over and over and over. Education is not, to me, one man opinion, it's not about memorizing that Hitler killed 6 million Jews, or education is understanding how many millions of ordinary Germans were convinced that it was required, or Indians were savages, or education is learning how to spot the signs of history repeating itself. It's not that. To me, education and knowing history is knowing the events that led up to what we perceive as historical events that took place. The Battle of the Bulge, the Revolutionary War, the first shot heard around the world. It's the events that led up to it. And somewhere somewhere in between the lines, that was lost. I've always said any book written past the 1940s is irrelevant. It's only whitewashed history. But if you really read anything post 1940, it's dead on accurate. From 1940 to the 1700s, it's dead on accurate. Nothing's changed. And we really, really got to stop funding through subsidizing education, just like our healthcare. Everything's been subsidized through the taxpayers, and that's why we're approaching $30 trillion in debt. That's why inflation is where it is today. That's why 50%, it doesn't matter if you make 20,000 or 100,000 or 250,000. 50%, actually, I'm lying. 20,000, you pay no taxes. But if you make $50,000 a year to $1 million a year or beyond, 50% of our income goes to taxes, taxation without representation.
It's theft.
It's theft. Yes, there you go. It's theft. So
Wait,
I'll let you. I'll let
better
you.
yet. Better yet, Tim. Let's just call a spade a spade. Taxation is voluntary. If you aren't involved in alcohol, tobacco, or firearms, why are you paying taxes? Have you read those tax codes? Probably not. You might want to read page 100 of the IRS tax codes, their instructions. Go ahead and read page 100, people. You might want to do that. It's voluntary.
That's what they say it is. Absolutely.
Y'all don't know this. That's why you're paying those taxes. That's why this is a problem for you. That's why we're funding things that we shouldn't be funding. That's why we have politicians in office that should have been removed a very, very long time ago. Out of 535 sitting representatives, there are 10, count them, 10 fingers, there are 10 of them that will remain. The rest will be removed. Bye-bye. Thanks for playing. The game will be over because the crooked politicians are the reason that we're in the situation. You voted for those retards. You voted for them. Take responsibility. Own your crap. Stop doing it. Start to participate and be done with this mess because we have a very small window to take this back. And if we don't do it, you will never get this back because we are the last country on this earth, whether you like it or not, that will remain standing. And if we do, we'll take back the rest of the globe. Better think long and hard about that, peeps. And you better think about the implications of being a slave to the cabal. Tim, we're about done. I don't know what your time frame is, but pig's got to cut out. So.
Okay. Yes. No. I appreciate it. We're about 43 minutes into it, and you are 100% correct, Faith. There's nothing I can add on to what you're saying, and I do appreciate you appearing on my panel. It was informative. It was well worth the wait that I've been waiting for a long time to have somebody like you appear on my show.
Thanks, Tim.
I do appreciate everything that you came on. I appreciate everything that you did and say. I do follow you also on social media. That's why we connected. We think alike for the most part. And I hope you can tune in for other live shows because you're a great panelist for my, you're a great guest for my panel. And eventually I will get to where I need to be, and a lot more people will tune in and watch and stuff like that. So I will say, good night. God bless you. God bless everything you stand for.
God bless you as well and your family.
Thank you. You too. And like I said, I do appreciate you coming on my show. It's an honor and a privilege. So I guess I will let you go. I'm going to tune out. I'm going to end this broadcast. We're 44 minutes and 35 seconds into it. And so I'm just going to give my ending. And Godspeed. I'll talk to you soon. Hope.
Godspeed,
Faith.
Tim.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much. God bless.
Thanks. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Okay, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Patriot Nation TV. I hope you enjoyed our little broadcast of what's going on with Dr. Fauci. I went a little longer than what I anticipated. But if you're new to the show, please hit like, hit subscribe. I'm going to have a lot more live broadcast coming up with a lot of connecting the dots of past pre-recorded videos I have done And it's going to get interesting, folks, as I get bigger and better at what I do. I hope my audience grows, and we'll try to resolve these issues that's facing America today. So that, as I always say, I'm going to end the show with God bless you, and God bless America. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.